As many of you may know, Fall Out Boy's hardcore roots are a specialty here at FallBat. We've made videos about Pete, Andy, and Patrick's connections to the Chicago scene, but what about Joe? Fall Out Boy fans, and even the band themselves, seem to tout the idea that, as Joe is the youngest member, he wasn't very involved in bands before Fall Out Boy. At least, not in comparison to the other three members. In reality, it's a bit more nuanced than that. Joe was into punk long before moving to Chicago, so he naturally started attending shows in the area. Here's an amazing video we posted before of Joe starting a circle pit at a Buried Alive show in 1999. Notice Pete in the background. They don't seem to interact at all, so it seems they weren't familiar with each other yet. While Patrick, Andy, and Pete played in a multitude of bands prior to Fall Out Boy, the only true hardcore band Joe was a member of before FOB was a band called Voices Still Heard. The band is very briefly mentioned in Joe's memoir, None of This Rocks. He refers to the band's one and only demo tape as something I have intentionally lost and hope to never recover. Unfortunately for Joe, it's publicly available on Bandcamp, which notes the members in the band, including the fact that their drummer was only 12 years old. Regardless of Joe, or frankly anyone's opinion on the quality of Voices Still Heard, this band is integral to both Joe's beginnings in music and the formation of connections to fellow bandmate Pete. After joining Voices Still Heard in his sophomore year of high school, Joe really began showing his passion for the scene both online and offline. In the year 2000, Joe started his very own zine dedicated to hardcore bands called X, A Helping Hand X. The remaining saves of the website are only from after the zine stopped being updated. Joe had the brilliant idea too, after apparently being bullied by people for his efforts, delete the entire online zine and make it a physical zine only. As he states, the only remaining thing is an interview with a band from the Indianapolis area named Horizon. Horizon leads us to other projects Joe worked on in high school, such as One Concern Records. This was a hardcore record label that seemingly never took off and never released anything. It was run by a kid named Kevin, who went to high school with Joe, and Joe managed the record label's website. The record label was planning to release a hardcore compilation, with one of the bands planned to appear being Arma Angelus in the very brief months when they were called Novena. Perhaps this helped form a connection between Pete and Joe. Another notable band on the lineup is hardcore band Evolution, which consists of members Joe went to high school with. Notably, Peter Moan was also in Voices Still Heard with Joe. In this old message board post made by Patrick around the time Fall Out Boy formed, he informs a friend that Joe's only band was a quote-unquote Evolution side project. This is a bit incorrect, as Evolution came first, so Voices Still Heard would be considered the side project in this case. However, before we knew any of this single comment by Patrick led us down a rabbit hole of trying to find out what this elusive side project could be. Thank you so much, Patrick. Joe's next jump up in activity was his time as a fill-in member for Arma Angelus on bass at only 15 years old. Somehow, Pete convinced Joe's parents to let him go on tour with the rest of the band in their 20s. Joe had been floating around Pete and Andy's scene for a while leading up to this. He was dubbed the #1 fan of both Race Trader and Kill the Slave Master, hardcore bands that Pete and Andy were both involved in. Joe was mercilessly hazed on tour with Arma until Chris Gutierrez, aka Hey Chris, flew in to return as the bassist. However, that didn't kill Joe's passion for the scene and actually influenced him to pivot in a new direction for Fall Out Boy. Joe has always been the beating heart of the band, which is fitting for someone who is so active in the scene at such a young age. We really have him to thank for being a founding member of Fall Out Boy and keeping the band going, even when the others had their doubts. And hey, release your old zine, please. We really want to read it.